time I see Nick, he's walking me to my part-time job in a box office at a theater on 42nd Street. I keep thinking about all of the heads-up pennies that he's saved for me over the years. It's our little game. Every heads-up penny I find, I give to him, and vice versa. It's a game I'll play with many people, many lovers over the years, but it starts with Nick. For good luck, or whatever, I giggled the first time. During this last time that I see Nick alive, it occurs to me how special the penny game is. How special everything he and I have shared is, including all of the bad and all of the good. Then suddenly I'm driving to Nick's hometown of Milford, somewhere off the coast of Connecticut. And I can't think of a worse state to drive through on your way to your ex-boyfriend's wake than Connecticut. No disrespect to any fans of the Constitution state, but seriously? Y'all gotta clean up that central part, okay? No one needs a Quiznos every 5 miles. The last time I see Nick, we meet near the 81st Street subway station on Central Park West. There's a polite hug that lasts a bit too long, and we walk to one of those Upper West Side, American, fusion, organic, sustainable, farm-to-table gastropub kind of places. Halfway through the meal, my college sister pal, Chelsea, walks by as Nick and I are sitting outside and enjoying our inevitably awkward but sort of lovely lunch. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed that Chelsea has seen us, and I trust that what I'm doing is a good thing. And I trust that Chelsea isn't thinking, wow, good work, Blake. Nice job giving Nick a chance to clear his own conscience because you're falling back into bad habits, like the cycle of abuse by giving this asshole space even after he shipped marijuana cookies to you when you were living in South Korea, which, if you recall, got you arrested, albeit inadvertently, and detained for 27 hours, faced with the immediate threat of deportation, or worse, up to 25 years in the South Korean prison system. She's definitely not thinking that, I tell myself. Is this really the fastest way to get to Nick's wake? I wonder, unsure why I can't cry. You're still in shock, Blake, I keep telling myself, as I wind mile by mile to this event. Nick's wake, where I'm going to have to see his brothers and his sisters and his cousins and his nieces and nephews and his father and Steph and Matt and, my God, all the Bostonians, and of course, Jackie, Nick's mom. I'm on the final stretch to Milford, a town packed to the brim with Irish Catholics, and thereby shame, and thereby lots of undiagnosed and unmonitored mental illness. And I know all of this because I spent a lot of time there in college. And I know for sure that Nick suffered from extreme mental illness. I guess, Nick, I say aloud in the car, I didn't think that you'd be so stupid as to take your own life and leave the rest of us here wondering what more we could have done to keep you safe and alive. The last time I see Nick, we're walking through Central Park, and he's telling me about his newfound sobriety. And I'm telling him about my year-old sobriety, and I still feel such an excruciating tenderness for him. That tar-black hair and those deep laugh lines near the sides of a fox-like, melancholy pair of brown eyes that reveals so much of the suffering that he endures each and every day. Depression is disgusting. I hate it. It steals life from the rest of us, and too often, there's nothing we can do to stop it. It's a painful reality to come to terms with. And it makes meeting Nick that much more difficult. Because, my God, he really does look like that actor, Penn Badgley, who is absolutely gorgeous. And as such, All I want to do is bring him back to my apartment and fuck him and lie next to him and feel his face and his breath, and his joy and his sorrow pushing up against my own. But I know I can't do that because I don't want to fuck up my sobriety. I don't want to give into false comforts. I've come a long way from the first drink I picked up in high school at my dad's house in Colorado Springs, but not far enough from the last drink I put down the night I was carried down that stairwell in that apartment near West 125th Street and escorted to the hospital for alcohol poisoning. I've come further than the lunchtime Izzy soda and Grey Goose nip cocktails I used to make inside the bathroom at Starbucks on West 43rd Street, but not far enough from the roof deck I fell off of at West 66th Street. Definitely not too far to give into old habits now, here in my last moments with Nick. I want to be strong, and I want to hold myself accountable, and I want to keep moving forward, but I also want to kiss him and wrap my arms around him and tell him how much I still love him and probably always will, but I don't. Instead, I listen, and I nod, and I laugh. I'm inside the funeral parlor, and there's a line of probably 100 fucktillion human beings stretching out along the perimeter of the room, zombieing towards Nick's casket and his family, and I keep imagining that all of us in this line are just ants, marching along, each passing the body, then giving hugs and kisses and "I'm so sorry" to the family. I don't want to participate in any of these activities, but I stay in line like the soldier I'm not, and I wait my turn. 2 seconds into my drudge around the perimeter, I hear my name and I spin around and see Nick's sweet niece hurtling towards me. She grabs me and pulls me close. "Everyone is going to be so glad you're here," she says. And they are. Nick's eldest sister, Megan, breaks down as I approach her. "He would be so glad you came. So glad." Erin, his other sister, also super gay, gives me an awkward hug. "Good to see you, man. Really good to see you here. We better fucking partying tonight." His brothers and his father dutifully shake my hand, telling me how much it would have meant to Nick if he knew I was here. None of the other guests get this kind of reception, or at least in my head. As far as I can tell from all of the eavesdropping I've been doing, it's mostly "thank you for coming," and a whole lot of "God bless you." But then I get to Jackie, his mom, and a look of near panic crosses her face. I can see that for a moment she doesn't remember me until she does, when she realizes that I am the young man who her son Nick inadvertently sent to prison in South Korea. "Blake, wow, hi, wow," she says, fumbling for the right response. "So glad you're here." The night before Nick's funeral, I'm with 2 of his best friends, Steph and Matt, in some hotel near the church where the funeral is going to happen. And we stay up reminiscing and crying and reflecting. I'm here, even after all the trouble Nick put me through, because I know that he loved me, and I know that I loved him. He was the first person who really reached me, gave me the first love, that first push, that nudge to tell me that I'm something. I am someone. And he was someone to me. And even though our relationship couldn't last, I realized that we created a world together filled with laughter and tears and pennies and shared meaning, and it's all survived in me. It's not easy to digest, but the harsh truth is that I could never save anyone but myself, and I remind myself of this each morning when I wake up and I get to see the sun one more time. My world is now filled with art and therapy and work, with sobriety, curiosity, and hope, an unparalleled system of support that would never have been possible without the things that I learned about myself through the space that Nick held for me. In the morning, we go to the funeral, and we bury Nick. And no one mentions his suicide. No one acknowledges his depression. No one says anything about the fact that his death is a major, major blow to the human race, because in Nick, we have lost an undeniably unique, creative, beautiful mind to a dark, twisted, malevolent reality. Another body in the ground in a graveyard in a small town called Milford, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean somewhere off the coast of Connecticut. On the second anniversary of Nick's death, I'm out to lunch in New Paltz with my friend Isabel when I see this really hot guy at the table next to ours. He reminds me of Nick. As we clear our table, I point surreptitiously in his direction and mouth so hot to Isabel, who for some reason looks very uncomfortable. We exit the building, and my first step out, I look down to catch the curb, and I see a heads-up penny sitting on the sidewalk in front of the cafe. Even though I don't have anyone to give it to, I pick it up as I ask Isabel, "Did you not see that guy in there?" "I hate bothering celebrities when they're eating," she says. "What celebrity?" I ask. "Oh, you know, Penn Badgley."
Oh my God.
Penn Badgley. The actor whose picture Nick once put up as his Facebook profile to see if anyone would notice. That Penn Badgley. And I look down at the penny in my hand, a perfect reminder of the best things that Nick and I gave each other, moments of playfulness and joy and adventure that allowed each of us to see what our best selves could look like, at least in those moments. So typical Nick, I think, putting the penny in my pocket. I hear you, loud and clear. I learned a lot from you, but I've still got some learning to do on my own.